Hi Aquarius, welcome to your season. I bet you're happy that it's finally your season and the energies got a little lighter, hopefully, and we're getting into a month that it's probably a little lighter, a little bit more dreamy, a little bit more positive and empowering, and something to look forward to, which after a January that was so intense, would need a little relief. Now, I'll have to mention a few things before I start your reading. And this month, during February, we're going to have a new moon in Aquarius, your sign. And we're also going to have a full moon in Virgo, which is somewhat opposite from you, right? That's very earthy, that's very grounded and very detailed oriented, while you're very kind of dreamy and rebellious and always trying to like push the boundaries as far as you can. Now, so with those two moon phases, with one we're going to be asked to really think about our community, about our relationships towards other people, how we give, how we receive. Also, we're going to be asked to maybe start learning new things, taking on a new class, and just kind of looking things from a different perspective too. Also, there's going to be a big push, especially for you Aquarius, to have a lot of emotional freedom. And that could be in the relationship, that can be in trying something new, that can just be maybe just not feeling so tied down to something, right? But it's also a good time to reflect on how you deal with change. So that's going to happen in the beginning of the month on February 4th, specifically a few days and a few days before and after that date. And then we have the full moon in Virgo on February 19th. Now, Virgo is, like I said, a very earthy sign, very grounded, but it also rules the digestive tract. So around this time, which is February 19th, being mindful of what you eat and how much you indulge in certain things, because you might be paying the consequences for it a little later. So you don't want to do that. Also, around this time, it's good to focus on your health. It's good to start a detox, a cleansing, maybe diet, or maybe just like do a 21-day detox program or something like that to really cleanse and let go of like maybe some things that no longer work for you. And also, it's a good time to clean. It's a good time to organize and structure all different aspects of your life, being like relationship, be it work, be it just like inside your home too. Sometimes like like they say spring cleaning and whatnot, but maybe spring cleaning is earlier this year. So, and it doesn't have to be just in the spring. It can also be in like any type, right? So who says it has to be just in the spring when we're all ready for rejuvenation, right? So look in your closet, see like what clothes you're not going to be wearing anymore, what clothes is no longer fitting you. And then sometimes we just keep things for just the sake of keeping, and we're just so afraid of letting them go because we're attached meaning to it. But maybe it's just time to revisit how you feel about those things. Also, there's going to be a tendency to be overcritical about things and people around you. So give yourself a little breathing room, give yourself a little patience with other people around you. So if things don't work out the way you want them to, don't be so quick to judge and like close the door on those people and all those things, because sometimes it's just worth a second chance, right? Now, the other thing too to mention is that Venus enters Capricorn on February 3rd, which is, it's going to be putting focus on how we approach beauty, how we approach our finances. So we have to come from a point of view like earthy foundation, which is more like goal oriented. Like don't let your emotions take the best of you, and don't like make those impulse purchases. Also, with Mercury in Pisces on February 10th, pay attention to your dreams, because this is a time where we're going to be a little dreamy, and this is a time where we're called to listen to our intuition. So whatever you want to call forth, it's good to meditate upon it the night when you go to bed, and then ask your angels to give you some guidance, and then you might get that answer in your dream. And then the other thing too that's going to happen this month is Mars enters Taurus on February 14th, which is coinciding with, well, no, it's a little before the full moon in Virgo, but kind of brings on around the same earthy energy, which is focusing on long term and slow and steady. Don't rush into things, right? So now, all that said, I'm gonna pull some cards for you and see what February has in store for you. Okay, so let's start. Okay, we're starting positive. Okay, so that's the energy you're moving into February. And that's pretty much kind of like the beginning of February. You know, the first few months, weeks. And that's the last 2 weeks. Okay, and the crowning, it's 5. A lot of changes, and not only for you, Aquarius, but it's also for the other signs too around this month. There's a lot of changes happening. Now, you start the month, the energy that you bring forward into the month of February is the 7 of Pentacles, 6 of Cups, and the Queen of Swords. I think there's, for you, it's like maybe a little bit of frustration regarding things from the past, maybe regarding some projects that you started and you like, oh well, man, when this is gonna happen, when this is gonna come like to fruition, when I'm gonna reap the benefits of this. You know, it also has to do with relationships too. Maybe like if you're in a long committed relationship, maybe of like 5 to 7 years, you're gonna be like, well, when is this person gonna commit to me, or when this person is gonna ask me to marry them, right? So you might be really acting on impulse here, where you're gonna be asked to, where you're gonna be really like approaching it from like, instead of being like really clear on what you want, maybe you're going to be a little confused on what you want, or it could be that you might be like really impulsive in your communication and your words, and your words might be really cutting, which is going to be really detrimental to you. So instead of like, you know, getting your way or getting what you want, or maybe like really finding the answers that you want, you might just get more pushback. So really, I think be careful how you end January, and be careful how you start the month of January. Like really get clear on what you want, and really get clear on like how those relationships and projects from the past are affecting you, and how you're letting them affect you going forward, and what is really exactly what you want to achieve. What is that ultimate goal? And if it's let's say if you're in the relationship that you've been dating for this person for the last 5, 6, 7 years, and you want marriage, let yourself speak up, let your voice be heard, but also do it in a very tactful way. Don't be too straightforward, because sometimes the Queen of Swords can be too cold. And you know, especially when you approach feelings, anything that's very like feeling oriented and emotional relationship wise, you know, it's really goes a long way if you're tactful and respectful, and be careful in how you what words you choose, also to describe how you feel, and then let the other person know you know, what you're going through and how you communicate, right? Because the more clear you're going to get on what you want, the clearer that you will be able to communicate that to your partner, and to, if it's a job thing, the clearer you're going to be able to communicate what your needs are and what is expected of you. Now, moving into the kind of the first part of February, we're going to have the 5 of Cups, we have the 6 of Swords in reversed, and we have the Queen of Cups. Again, this is a very emotional time for you, which is going to be, and it's coinciding with the new moon in Aquarius, so it's a lot of like, you know, forcing to be out of the box, like a little dreamy, a little bit maybe like too much in your, you know, like wonderland and whatnot. So like not really grounded, which is like represented by the Queen of Cups, like not really having that like stability and like that groundness. You're going to be more like in, ooh, like your like little wonderland or whatever. You know, where it's like you're just gonna be so like caught up in your dream world and what you want, you know, like the fantasy world, right? But also like some of it, there's gonna be some like a little loaded energy here, which is like starting with the 5 of Cups, which is kind of like a regret. It's almost like thinking and dwelling on the spilled cup, like the spilled milk versus like what's still left. standing, right? So you're going to be like more focusing on the negative aspects of your life versus the positive aspects of your life. And this is where you're really the new moon in Aquarius is going to be beneficial for you to meditate on how do you deal with change, how do you deal with things not working your way, or working your way but maybe not the way exactly you wanted them to. How do you approach that? And then the same thing with like the Six of Swords, where it's like not being able to move forward. There's a stagnation, and that's all because you're in your head. That's all because you're just like so stuck on thinking about the past, thinking about like what's being done, what's being wrong, you know, the things that are done wrong to you and the words that have been spoken to you, versus like really letting all of that go and acting like as an adult person. You know, yes, on Aquarius it's like it's your month because we have the sun in Aquarius and we have the moon in Aquarius. I mean, it's a new moon in Aquarius, right, in the beginning of the month. So it's going to be like, oh my god, full blast Aquarius. So it's kind of almost like going to think you're going to have an excuse to act out and to act like you're irrational, but you don't, because you're going to have a really high potential to maybe damage some relationships that you have with others, you know, but maybe also not only like damaging some of the relationships or like your partners or people that you're involved with, or maybe like, again, because there's so many cups, I feel like it's not really work oriented, even though like the beginning and the end of the month they might be a little bit more work oriented and more grounding energy for you, but like overall, like throughout the month there's going to be a real big focus on relationships of all sorts. So by you acting immature, by you not able to like move forward from like this past hurt or past regret or whatever the case might be for you, right, that you might be able not to like see the relationship for what it is and not maybe like, you know, appreciate it for what it was. So I think be mindful of that. Be mindful of your thoughts too. And if you need some clarity, you know, like the full when Mercury enters the sign of Pisces around February 10th, it's a really good time to meditate before you go to bed and really ask for some clarity, ask for some answers. How do you move forward with the relationship? How do you approach this relationship? What's the answer that you needed to hear, and what's, you know, the message that you needed to hear around this time to like make things work if you really wanted things to work out. Now for you singles, the end of the month promises to for you to maybe not be single anymore. Maybe you'll be able to find a partner. With the Knight of Cups, it's also like the Knights, it's about moving energy, so it's like action oriented, right? And it's also be maybe that you like, by feeling so negative about a situation and kind of letting go of a relationship, you're gonna be like, you know what, screw this, I'm just gonna do my thing, I'm just gonna go forward with what I want, how I want it to go, and I'm just gonna find somebody that's matching my needs, my wants, and you will be able to do so, you know, with the Knight of Cups. And it's like usually this guy's thought of as like the knight in shining armor, the savior, which to me it's like it's more about like maybe somebody that's a little bit more mature than other people around you, maybe other suitors, that he's very in touch with his feelings, he's very sensitive, but at the same time he's also able to talk about his feelings, he's able to like go with the flow when it's necessary, he's not just like stuck in his way like the Emperor is, right? And then we have the Queen of Pentacles in reversed. So it's almost like you letting go of a relationship, or you kind of feel stuck on a relationship, and then you kind of make this abrupt change of like, oh, maybe I'll just move forward, or maybe like you just cut the person out completely out of your life, but then you feel, you know, regretful about it, and also you feel like maybe that was not the right choice because it's not bringing you the growth that you wanted, or like the stability that you wanted. You might feel like a little bit out of a fish out of water with this, like at the end of the month, where it's like, oh, you might be feeling like maybe things are just not going your way too, even though like maybe there's like 1 week in February that everything is kind of aligning and you feel a little bit more stable in your feelings and your emotions and how you like move on with your life. But at the end of the month, it's going to be almost like this push of like, well, what is it really that I want? And I think that's like with the full moon in Virgo and the Mars in Taurus mid the end of February, you're going to be really asked to restructure your life and really see the parts that are working, the parts that are not working for you anymore. So the Queen of Pentacles is really asking, what's your foundation? What are you building your growth on? You know, is it this maturity level that you want to achieve? And if so, how do you translate this into more like a grounding energy, into more of like a foundation, right? But let me pull some clarifiers and see what else we got. Oh, and then one thing to mention, like we have the overall energy of the month would have the 5 of Wands in reverse, and it's not the first sign that gets this. It's really like stop fighting, and like let things flow the way they normally would, and don't just be so focused on, especially for you, Aquarius. I think it's so hard for you to not have your own way, and having like, you know, the new moon in Aquarius in the beginning of the month and the sun in your zodiac sign for the whole month, you know, it's just like you're always going to feel like you're right and you have to be right, but sometimes you have to cooperate, you have to compromise, you know. So don't let that ego stand in the way, because, you know, like with this, you're going to be like, you are going to be forced into like, well, but this is not really what I want, but why should I like let go? Why should I give in? Why should I just let the other person, you know, have it? So it's like, you know, be really mindful of that. Okay, so let's see. Let's clarify the 7 of Pentacles. Why do I have the 7 of Pentacles? Okay. Temperance. Wheel of Fortune. Queen of Cups. So we have the Queen of Cups here, and we have the Queen of Cups. So it's a lot of female energy, like a lot of feminine energy around this month for you, which I think like for you, that kind of means like getting in touch with your nurturing side. Queen of Wands to crown the reading. Okay, so we have the 3 of Cups in reverse, clarifying the 7 of Pentacles. I think it's almost like reassessing your relationships with others, reassessing your relationships with your friends, with your community, like where am I giving too much, where I'm not receiving enough, you know, where ways that I can volunteer more and give back to the community, and when there's ways that I can actually be supported more and then feel that sense of community, right? And that's the energy you're bringing from the month of January into February. And then we have the Temperance, clarifying the 6 of Cups. So the Temperance is really, it's like, so where do you find this balance, you know, like where do you find like the emotional fulfillment with the things from your past, also like merging them into with the things that are happening now and the things that you want to go forward to, right? And how do you bring those relationships from the past into the new? Or how do you, for some of you that like maybe involved with technology, how do you modernize something? How do you bring like a new, almost like give it a new shine, or give it like updating it, right? So kind of think about that, like that's kind of the energy that I'm feeling about this. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, clarifying the Queen of Swords in reverse. So I think it's really because you're not able to let go of something, and I think it's something from the past, you're not able to, and it's something to do with things not working out your way, that you're like being too harsh on people, you're just being like too mean, too abrupt, too like just straightforward, you know, and they're just like too cutting with your words and with your communication, which is really, I think it's going to be detrimental for you. Then we have the Queen of Cups clarifying the 5 of Cups. The Queen of Cups, it's like, I think it's just letting your emotion get the best of you, really, you know, like yes, the Queen of Cups, it's the nurturing, it's like the mother figure, but at the same time, it's like when it comes to the 5 of Cups, it's like change. How do you nurture yourself through change? How do you accept change? How do you heal from change, right? How do you let other people help you around change? And how do you get over regret, you know? And I think it's going to be a very like, around maybe the 5th, like I think it's really around the new moon. It's going to be where we're asked to think about things moving forward. You're going to be like really asked to think about and meditate about things from the past. What are your regrets? Do you regret anything? Do you regret anything that you've done or has been done to you? And if you did, can you forgive that behavior? Can you accept and forgive and let go of that behavior and accept healing, and then heal yourself and heal others, right? Then we have the Queen of Swords clarifying the Six of Swords. So again, the Queen of Swords, like here we have it upright, and here we have it here we have it in reverse, here we have it in upright. So I feel like you almost like gain clarity, like go through doing this exercise, through doing this work, right? You gain some clarity and you're like, oh, maybe it's just not really worth me closing the door just now and leaving just yet. So maybe maybe I should give it a second chance. Maybe it's just something in how I relate to others and how I communicate to others that it's coming across too abrupt, that people are just kind of like too quick to give me the cold shoulder. You know, because the Queen of Swords can be that, especially with Uranus being an Aquarius, being like an air sign. You know, it's so easy to, and especially that you are such a detached, emotionally detached sign, that you need that sense of freedom that can be perceived in so many different ways and can be perceived so cold and so mean that some people just might not be so responsive to you and not understanding towards you, right? So maybe this is something where you like consciously make a decision, or maybe I'm just gonna change my perspective, maybe I'm gonna change how I communicate and come across to other people. And then once you do that, we have the Queen of Cups in the Nine of Cups clarifying the Queen of Cups in reverse. So it's like here, like, you know, when you don't have when you realize that you don't have that nurturing, supporting aspect, right? Because like the way you come across and you like do the work, right, with like really forgiving and then maybe changing your perspective, changing how you approach things, maybe be more tolerant towards others and towards your words and how you speak, then maybe you'll find that sense of fulfillment and sense of like gratitude from others. But I think with this particular deck, the Nine of Cups in the regular Rider-Waite deck, I think the Nine of Cups, it's usually wish fulfillment, but in this one it's almost like overindulgence too, where it's like you almost gonna be like, oh, but I did all this work now, and then, you know, like, why is it people are not responding to me very well? Are you gonna be like expecting everybody to just like rush in, like, oh my god, I apologize, or like, oh my god, you're so great? But you know, you have to do the work first, and then don't expect other people to like do that for you, because the work is all within you. You know, it has to start from you. Then we have, it's funny, we have the Two of Pentacles clarifying the Two of Cups. So it's like a juggling thing, right? Where it's like you're gonna have to like let go of a relationship that's no longer serving you, or maybe that's not fulfilling to you, right? In order to like be able to move forward and to have enough, and then to focus into something better, where this you have the Nine of Cups comes along, and then because it comes along to fulfill that void that this relationship left in you, you know. And then the Judgment clarifying the Queen of Pentacles. I think it's almost like, I think there's still a lot of work that needs to be done at the end of the month. You did a lot of work already, but there's also still so much more left. I think it's kind of weird, because I feel like you're gonna gain momentum in the beginning of the first 2 weeks of the month, but then you kind of like let that get to you, and then you get so overwhelmed, and you get so, it's almost like you're getting too dreamy, and again you're like having these like grandiose things, you know, like getting like overly confident about yourself, you know, not thinking about others, that you almost like again lose that footing, lose that grounding energy, and then you kind of lose the idea and then thought of what's right, what's wrong, what needs to be done, what's not need to be done. You lose sight of what's important, you lose sight of what's right, you know. But let me pull some some oracle cards and see what else comes across for you, Aquarius. Now, yeah, this is your month. This is your month, and you know, there is this I don't know, Astrology, that it's going to be you know, like you being the rebel of the zodiac. I think it's going to be really important for you to kind of rein that in, Even though it's going to be hard for you to do so, but rein that in and be a little bit more mature with your feelings, with your emotions, with your communication. Get a little bit more down to earth, you know, if possible. Really think long term versus short term, you know. Okay. So we have peace, and then we have deep knowing. And see how both of these kind of have, I was immediately attracted the color scheme. They're so ease and peaceful and like so smooth and like, you know, neutral almost like. And we have the dove and you have the owl. So the owl is the symbol of wisdom, and the dove is the symbol of peace, right? But it's also a symbol of love. So I think here it's like I think it's a month to approach everything from like a clarity standpoint of view, and not really get the emotion gets the best of you. Get calm first, get really deep within, and then know exactly what you want, how you want to proceed, how you want to move forward before you make that step, because you might be letting go of some relationships that are no longer serving you. But would you really ultimately, you know, feel good about that? Would that ultimately be the right choice for you? You know, so really do the work. Do that, like really get in touch with the energy of the full moon in Virgo mid-month, where it's, you know, like you really gonna ask to kind of step outside of your comfort zone a little bit and not be so like overly confident, you know, like get the ego get the best of you, like, oh, you know best, and oh, they're just not worth it anymore, and like I'm just gonna close the door on them. But really work on yourself and really work on letting go of that past hurt and that past you know, like regret, or in forgiving other people, and really get into a sense of like peace and comfort, you know, within yourself. So I'm gonna leave you with that, Aquarius. I hope you have a great month this month, and I hope that you're gonna find that peace, and then the wishes that you're setting forth for you and the goals that you're planning for yourself in the month of February, they will come true, and I hope they will come true. And if this reading resonated with you, please like this video and hit the like button, and also subscribe to my channel if you like my readings. That's it for now, and I'll see you in the month of March. Bye, Aquarius.